Hi, YouTube. So, I'm here with Sam again. Say
Hello,
hi, Sam.
y'all. How we doing?
And today, Sam and I actually, I guess we should probably bring this in a little bit. We were just talking about going back and doing a book proposal for his book, even though we started writing it, which typically is something I recommend doing before you write a word, because long story short, if you want to go through any kind of traditional publishing or even hybrid publishing, which that's a topic for a future video, but they will want to see a book proposal before you write the book. In Seminar's case, it's kind of a different story. It's a little, you can go back to older videos for the whole story there. But yeah, it's still an important thing to have. So that's why we've decided we're going to go back and do that now. But the thing that I want to talk about here today is
Hold on, Sean.
I'm,
Before we
please.
get into that, I want to go a little further back to
Oh,
recap the
sure.
conversation, right? So just to recap the conversation, how it started is Sean is actually working on a kick-ass challenge. Let's get that first, right? Because that's number
Hmm.
one. Like, how did this even come up? And so, like the challenge that Sean has put it together is essentially it's like most people that want to write a book, they know that they have a book inside of them that they want to get out. How they go about it, that's the hard part, right? That's like the creator's block right there. What is it to do? So as Sean's been working with me and we've been outlining this process, he's like, oh, wait a minute, let me sit down and let me put this together and realize like, wait, number one thing, you need a manuscript proposal. Like, what's going to be the proposal? Because when you do that proposal, now you're going to know the outline of the book. You're going to have some chapters and ideas. You're going to know what's the purpose of your book, so on and so forth. We worked it a little bit opposite because when we hit the floor running, it was more of an intuitive thing that Sean and I was like, listen, this is line for a reason. Let's work on this together. And so that's
Yeah.
what we've been doing. But as it's been unraveling, obviously the wheels start turning, and it's like, how can this be duplicated to help other people? Right? Like, so look at take me for an example. Like we're what at chapter 9 already, right?
Yes.
Do I look like a stressed author to you?
Yeah.
Definitely not, right? And so it basically the whole point of this, like, how can this be duplicated so that we can help other people that are looking to get that book out, right? And not just get the book out, get the heart of the book out, right? Because that's the whole point here. Like, I feel like that most people they work so hard to get a book together, and sometimes the book stinks because they can, and
Yeah.
I still honor them for going through that process, but the book stinks. And why is that? Because they didn't go through the process of finding the heart of the book. And as Sean is outlining the process, the first step that should be done is put the book proposal together, right? And so, like, right now, that's what we're going to be working on. We kind of got like a little head start, I'm thinking, because we got a lot of the book done already.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I just wanted to bring that whole backstory into this before you start get going, because I think it's important to understand like that you putting this challenge together, that you can help people with the first step, which is after the challenge, you will have that book proposal. And what's good about the book proposal? The fact that now you know what to write,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I mean, I was about to say that, so thank you
Oh, okay, you
for
got it.
saving
All
me the
right, all
trouble.
right.
But no, it's so true. And in fact, like the my goal with this challenge is I don't care where you are in the process right now. If you just know, if you know if all you know is that you have a book inside you and you don't know what it's about, even forget the title and all that. You don't even know what the book's about. Cool. This is for you. If you, like Sam back in the day, are sitting on a pile of notes and you just can't figure out what to do with it, great. This challenge is for you. I would say, honestly, even if you're like halfway through writing the thing and it's just not clicking the way you want it to, or like you're kind of wondering, like, is this, am I even like on the right track here? Great. This challenge is for you. Because what this is drilling down into the heart of your book, right? And making sure that you have that from the beginning. And in fact, I'm still working on the name of the challenge, frankly, but like it's not going to be how to write your book proposal because that's not really what people are looking for. In fact, I bet a lot of people watching this video right now, it's news to them that they even need such a thing, which is fine. But in my mind, whatever you're planning to do with your book, you should write a book proposal first because it forces you to ask the right questions. And the part that's kind of like my secret sauce, because I could show you the outline of how to write a book proposal right now. I don't want to throw you into that yet. I want to take you through the process of mining you and your story to figure out what goes in the book. And a huge chunk of that, which is the thing I wanted to talk about here today, we're finally getting to the main topic. That's all good.
Yeah, it is
Um,
good. It is good. It is good.
is to understand your role as the hero of the book. And I use that term very deliberately because a hero, like, I want to get your take on this, Sam. What do you think the term hero means?
I honestly, I don't even think about the word hero as an adult.
Mhm.
But if I can go back to, 5, 7, 8 year old Sam, hero is the person that makes everything better.
Mm, mm, I like that. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that certainly applies, right? I think especially with the book like yours. But the way I want you guys to understand the term hero when it comes to writing your book is that a hero in the classic sense is someone the audience looks to for guidance in their own life. Guidance by example. That's the crucial thing. Because
Mm,
it's not a teacher. And though, even though, yes, you might also be a teacher, you might be wanting to write this book to bring people into your universe and be a teacher or a mentor or a coach or whatever the label you want to put on it. But in my mind, the best thing a book can do is to position you as a hero. And I think even the more accurate phrasing is it's your chance to step into the role of hero because it's a role. And so, because people now, like when they hear, yeah, go ahead, Sam.
no, I was gonna say as you're saying this, you use the word role, and right before that, what word came to my mind was role model.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Case in point.
yeah.
And so the when I say hero, like if you're thinking of it in terms of like am like people hear hero and they think like, oh, so I have to be famous, right? Or I have to be like accomplished in XYZ different ways or whatever else, right? That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about an archetypal hero. Like throughout human history, like you could have a village hero, right? Someone who did something brave and important for their own village, and now they're a hero.
Mm,
And so wherever you are on that scale, you're a hero. And when it comes to story structure, it's important to recognize and own that because your story is going to come to life when you recognize which kind of hero you are,
mm,
because they're not all the same.
mm,
And this is one of the things. This will be like somewhere in week 1 or 2 of the challenge is breaking down the different types of heroes. Which, by the way, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell you what they are right now. Just know that, like, during the challenge, I'm going to give you specific exercises to figure out which one you are. But I'll go ahead and talk about what they are right now. Um, so the first one is a classic hero. And this is like you think like Superman is like one of the easiest examples, but like, Hercules, um, all these, whatever you think of, like what most people think of as like a literary hero, that's a classic hero. And a classic hero is someone we know is inherently good. And so
mm,
we're watching their example to figure out how to be good in our own lives. It's that simple.
mm,
Why do we watch Superman? Because he's someone that no matter, despite being like one of the most powerful beings in the universe, he always does the right thing. And so even us, right, without being the most powerful being in the universe, it's like, well, wow, like whatever power I do have in my life, I hope I'm able to wield it responsibly. Let me watch Superman and use him as an example. Um, hey, another another good example, actually, probably it's one that's leaping the mind for a lot of people. Jesus Christ.
mm,
Jesus is a hero in the classic sense, right? He's the Son of God. He's the Prince of Peace. He's always going to do the right and just thing, even in the most dire circumstances, right? So we look to his story as like, well, how can I be more like? That's really what it means to be a Christian. That's the origin of the term, to be like Christ. How can I be like him? How can I follow that example? Um, so that one's pretty easy. Next up is the everyman hero.
what was that? Every what?
Everyman.
Everyman hero.
Yeah. You can also call it the average Joe, right?
The average Joe hero. Okay.
Yep. So this is the like you're basically like just your normal guy, right? Normal guy who by hook or by crook ends up doing something extraordinary, right? Either because he's forced to by circumstances or he gets this, bolt of inspiration someday, whatever it is. But the reason why we love an average Joe hero is in that case, we're looking at the circumstances around them and wondering, what would I do in that situation?
Hmm.
It's like, wow, like this guy, he may not be the most interesting person himself. In fact, he's usually not. He's an everyman. He's an average Joe. He's not that interesting at first. But
Hmm.
you fling him into an unusual situation, and now we're interested because it's like, well, wait a second. I don't think, I mean, because deep down, everyone kind of sees themselves as the average, right? So it's like, well, wait a second, I'm just a normal person. Well, what the heck would I do in this situation? Well, I'm going to watch this guy go through this crazy situation to see what he does. And that'll help
Hmm.
me think through, like, man, what would I do if I were in that situation? Um, uh, dude, you're going to love this. One of the crazy classic examples of this, Die Hard,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Dude's just a normal beat cop, right? And yeah, he's got like conflict with his family, or whatever. But even his problems are like pretty common problems. Like it's a lot, especially in the mid '80s, right? There's a lot of divorced dudes out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, so he's just a normal dude. All of a sudden, holy crap! The terrorists have taken over the tower, and like, what the heck do you do, right? As a normal guy to fight through that and
Yeah.
survive and protect the good guys, right? We're watching to see like, well, like, I mean, especially when you get to the part where he's like, walking over the broken glass, it's like, oh my God, could I do that? Is this
Yeah.
like a
Yeah. Yeah.
normal guy? Like, it's hard to even imagine, right? Um, and then the third one is the underdog. And with a classic underdog in fiction, there's a little bit of a twist with nonfiction I'll get to in a second. But with a classic underdog in fiction, we're watching them to figure out how did they end up here?
Hmm.
Like you see the underdog, they're put upon, nothing's going right for them, right? Um, they're laughed at, they're bullied, they're weak, they're poor, right? Like,
Yeah.
and nothing's going right for them. And we're watching them to figure out like, well, how did they end up in this situation? Because we all, again, in kind of a similar way, we all have our own inner underdog, whether it's a moment in the past where we felt like we're the underdog, or maybe it's right now. Maybe we feel like the underdog right now. And the reason why we want the explanation is that it feels wrong. It feels wrong when someone's the underdog, or especially when we feel like the underdog ourselves, because it's like, well, clearly there's goodness in this person. It's not like this is some evil person, like a classic underdog. You can see that they're still heroic in nature because even at the bottom, they're still doing kind things for other people, or at least trying to do the right thing, right? It's just that nothing's working for them. It's like, gosh, like, why is it that this person can be so good and yet their life is so terrible? And that's the dramatic question of an underdog story. You're trying to figure out, like, man, how'd they end up there? And ultimately, what you realize, in the case of an underdog, is it really wasn't their fault, but it is their responsibility. Like, whatever put them in that position, that it wasn't their fault. But now they get the chance to take back their own power and change their situation, right? Which leads to that what I was saying about nonfiction is that if you're a nonfiction author, well, odds are like by the time you're writing a book, you've overcome that struggle, right? I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's now a question of okay, how did you get from here to there? Because I know because you're publishing a book and like I've read the blurb, right? I know you're like for instance, a successful real estate investor. Like you're up here now, you were down here. What happened in the meantime, right? How did you how did you cross that gap? That's what I want to know as a reader. Um, and really 90% of the time, yes, you're one of those three. I'll go ahead and talk about the fourth one just because it's kind of fun and interesting, but just know like most people are going to be one of those first three. Um, the last one is the anti-hero. And the anti-hero is someone who actually is not heroic, right?
Hmm.
Um, but we watch them because we're curious about how they think. And really the difference between an anti-hero and a villain is that in a villain, again, talking in terms of like classic story structure, like the villain is like on the opposite side of the conflict, right? We don't really get to see how the villain thinks. All we see are the challenges they throw at the hero. But the anti-hero, because the camera is on their shoulder, so to speak, Deadpool is a perfect example of this. If you guys saw the Deadpool movies,
Mm.
it's like, man, I can't like this guy is so weird, right? Like he like his whole system of morality is totally different from mine. But man, I really want to know how he thinks because just in case I ever run into this guy in real life, I want to be prepared, right? In case there's any anti-heroes wandering around in my life, I want to know. I want to at least have some idea of how they work and how they
Yeah.
think in case I bump into one. Um, so that's it. Those are the four types of heroes. And I'm curious, Sam, which of those do you think you are in your book?
Well, after listening to it, my question would be: can you be all three for the first three? Right? Because I just feel like a little element of each.
Hmm.
Like I felt called, and then I don't think that I'm the anti hero one.
Yeah,
However,
I didn't think so.
I do find it very interesting, right? Like that whole anti-hero, like you were talking about Deadpool, where it's like they're not trying to be a hero. They actually like they could be an asshole, right? But at the same time, they're capable of doing good,
Right.
right? And so like I find that very interesting, that last part. Because there's a lot of people out there that I've met, where it's like they don't think that they even could be considered anywhere to be a hero, but they're capable of it. But because
Right.
they don't think that they are, they walk around with like the Deadpool attitude, you know. So I just find it very interesting that that has its own category.
That's actually a really good point. And the thing about a lot of and that especially the recent Deadpool movies are a good example of this. Sometimes the anti-hero is actually just an underdog in disguise
Mm,
because they've built up this wall of like cynicism as armor ultimately.
mm,
And so like we're watching them like, man, this guy is like really like he really treats people like trash. Like what is wrong with him? Um, Come to find out, oh man, he really got put through the ringer. That
yeah,
doesn't make his behavior right, but it does change our relationship to him as the story goes on. So
a
you're
hundred
right. You
percent.
can be different kinds of heroes at different points in the story.
Mm,
Um, but ultimately, like the, there is going to be kind of a core archetype that you fit into, at least for the purposes of your book, right? Which
yeah.
that's the other thing too. That goes back to what I was saying at the top about the hero being a role. Even with a book that's very autobiographical like yours, we're not trying to fit your whole life story into the book. The book is not Sam. Sam is Sam, right?
Correct. Hmm.
So the role of the book is to show like here's like this specific aspect of Sam that's going to be most helpful to the reader right now. Like here's the specific example drawn out of Sam's life that they can watch and understand like, oh wow, like if I'm struggling with similar things, here's an example I can follow in my own life. And with that in mind, I really think your story begins as the underdog. Like given what happens in the first chapter, like that's classic underdog beginnings.
Yeah,
Especially to see what you did with it, right?
yeah.
Um, and like without spoiling the book, right? Like even looking at like in fact a really like classic example of an underdog would be like chapters like 2 through 4 of your book, where it's like we're seeing you like you called it the fog, right? Where it's like
Mm,
that happens and then you're just like wandering and like and even the people around you are saying like man like where's our Sam, right? Like they can
mm,
remember who you were before all this and they're and like and it's still in there somewhere, but it's like oh God, is he gonna pull through, right? Like I hope he does.
yeah.
But yeesh, right? That's an underdog moment,
Mm,
100%. Um, and the thing about underdogs is that what once things click, it tends to be a really steep rise, right? They go right,
mm,
which then creates its own problems, right? And things kind of jagged, and they have to remember who they are, right, and not get lost in the
mm.
sauce of like, hey, I've got these external things, problem solved, right? It's like not quite.
Not yet. Not yet, buddy. We're not there yet.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the four types of heroes. And honestly, I bet there's people listening to this right now that like just hearing those descriptions are like, oh, wait a second.
Wait a second. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think it's safe to say? Because like we're talking about the book in
Hmm.
general, and when we talk about the book, I can absolutely see where you're saying the underdog. Absolutely, because it literally starts off that way, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just putting this out there just so that like the people listening and watching this can distinguish the difference, because I know you said the book is not Sam. That's the
Right.
part. That's just the book that we're writing, right? So, like, if you yourself as a person can resonate with all of them, that let like don't let that stop what it is that you're gonna put in the book. Like
Yeah.
let's focus on the hero that you're gonna be in the book, not the
Yes.
person that you can resonate with like right now. Because I can resonate with all of them, even the fourth one.
Mhm.
You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Same.
Totally, like all of them. Like I'm running it through my head. I'm like, well, there's plenty of chapters in life where I'm like, yep, yeah, I can resonate with all of them. And so, but for the book purposes, absolutely, I see what you're saying based upon how we started the book and how's it been progressing is definitely the underdog coming in and teaching and share, not even teaching, sharing the story of like, this is what happened to me. And things were really jacked up. And things didn't just overnight get better. Like there was a process. And here's what that process looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. Yeah. And on that note too, if I mean if you have an inkling, sure, like sit with that. The audience on YouTube, right? Like
Yeah.
if you feel like okay, maybe this is an underdog story, maybe yeah, sure, yeah, it might be. But just know that like as part of the challenge, really, spoilers, the first 3 weeks of the challenge are just gathering raw materials. And so you'll know, like once you have like all this laid out, and I have it very specifically structured to do this, by the time you even start writing that book proposal, it'll be very clear, like, oh, wait a second. That's how this all fits together. This is what kind of hero I am. This is what the structure needs to be because I've mapped the whole territory for you. You're not like and this is like my big problem with a lot of writing advice is that it tries to give you a piece of the puzzle and insists that's the whole puzzle. And
Mm,
like, oh, you just have to follow this formula to write your story. It's like, well, that formula, there's value to it. I won't say there's not. I mean, I use formulas all the time in my work. But if you haven't really done the work to get the raw materials, that's how you end up leaving things out. That's how you end up doing what Sam was saying, where you're cutting off your own story at the knees because someone told you like, oh, it's this kind of story. It's like that's not my job with this challenge. You're gonna know. I'm
mm,
not gonna tell you what it is. You're gonna discover it by going through the process, and it's gonna be crystal clear to you. That's the
mm.
goal.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's
And
exciting.
Sam knows because
Yeah.
I
It's
did it intuitively with him. Now I'm just like
yeah,
mapping it
yeah.
out and doing it.
Yes. And it's exciting when you start to like, oh, and it clicks. The excitement that comes with that is like a momentum pull. All right. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't even want to call it a push because it's not a push, it's a pull. Because like once it starts to come together, it just comes right out of you. It's just boom, boom, boom. Let's do this, right? And the energy is there. Yeah, man. I want to say other stuff that has nothing to do with this about
Yeah,
what we were
yeah.
talking
We're
about
probably
before,
good for
but
now,
no,
but
we gotta leave it like this for now.
yeah. So stay tuned for the challenge. It's coming soon. And I can't wait to see you guys in there. It's gonna be so much fun.
Awesome.
And see you next
Peace.
time.
All right.